I'm going to be trying something different. I know, right? Scary. As you could tell from the title, I'm going to be analyzing a song from my absolute favorite show, Steven Universe. The song Here Comes a Thought is great, I think, because of the visual and vocal representation of real human emotions and problems. The song is about how Connie feels guilt about absolutely annihilating this kid from school and accidentally breaking his arm. This affects how she's able to concentrate both by herself and in training as Stevani. Garnet attempts to help them out by explaining the importance of keeping a clear head through perspective and meditation. She also shows Connie that she can move past these issues through asking others around her for help. I like this advice because it not only applies to romantic relationships, but also applies to self-love and personal well-being. I find that the visuals are important to the song because of the symbolism of the color schemes and the imagery. So I'm going to share some of my friends' opinions on the song because they're kind enough to hear my notes and make their own. Also, their YouTube will be in the description. Bear in mind, I'm mostly paraphrasing because they said a lot of smart stuff, and I could only write them down in a certain amount of time because I'm slow. They said they really like the repetition of the line "take a moment" because a lot of people don't, and they just end up blowing everything out of proportion. They also liked in the beginning where there's a lot of close-ups, making it look more intense, and then closer towards the end, there's a lot more wide shots, which makes it look a bit more chill. It shows the change in perspective well, going from inside the head to an outwards perspective. Also, the specific scene where Sapphire reaches out towards Ruby was mentioned because they like how it shows that you have to work on yourself before being able to help anybody else, effectively. Because Ruby was so focused on one small problem, Sapphire was being surrounded by new problems. So, in Ruby's attempt to help her, she just ended up neglecting her current feelings. I feel like I saved the best of the notes for last because finally they mentioned the massive amount of butterfly imagery and symbolism within the visuals of the song. They said during the scene where Connie's backpack exploded with a shit ton of butterflies, that quote, "You got all these small things and they just fucking snowball and it goes to shit." I particularly like this quote because I didn't think to write down that part and like a dumbass. Also, when they said it, it was funny to me. Okay, now that I've gotten through Fuzzy's opinion about the song and the visuals, uh, time to make my own notes, obviously. Like the expert, being watching the show for 6 years. I think that starting with the color scheme, the blue can represent two different mindsets. In the beginning, the floor being darker than the sky, the dark blue could represent the darkness in the mind can get from guilt and shit. But then closer to the end with the wide shots that my friend mentioned, the sky is a more soft and bright blue, so it shows a lighter perspective. And the white and the butterflies, they're also really bright, which could be calmer in theory, but then it just shows to be overwhelming with the amount there are. One small problem can be it's fine, it's just this little light, and then when there's too much light, it just hurts your eyes, doesn't it? Okay, now that I've taken care of that, I'd like to get through the story and the individual aspects of the characters' reactions. Firstly, of course, there's Connie. She's feeling the immense amount of guilt over hurting a classmate, instinctually, because of her training with Pearl. She begins to panic internally, and at the start of the episode, she shuts out Steven and doesn't tell him why she's upset, which is a valid choice for her to make, but then she starts being affected during her training as Stevani, which hinders their ability to fight, putting them in danger of being hurt. The fusion breaks apart because of this, and Steven chases after Connie out of the arena. Secondly, Steven's reaction in trying to help Connie could be him showing his constant want to help people around him. Connie reacts to this badly, though, because she just wanted to move past it. This could be because of the pressure she gets from her mum. But then Garnet attempts to help, and she ends up showing how Ruby and Sapphire react to situations like this. Spoiler warning for episode 22, The Answer. When Sapphire is being surrounded by butterflies as Ruby fights with just one of them, she reflects the same energy as when Garnet is going through her backstory right after she fused accidentally. On Sapphire not knowing what to do about the crowd already surrounding her, she freezes up in fear. Pun intended. Which reflects like her future vision not working, shocks her even now. Which shows itself in later episodes, like pool hopping, and then Ruby's reaction to tackle only one problem at a time that she can see right in front of her shows her rash behavior as she's originally a bodyguard. Her not being able to tackle this on her own because she's usually in a team of 2 or 3 in Garnet or as the 3-way Ruby fusion. This shows itself through stubbornness sometimes, like right after Rose Quartz was revealed to be Pink Diamond. And then Garnet realizes that she can work on herself together to confide in each other, and then the problems become more minimal and easier to deal with, which leads her to relying on Ruby and Sapphire and herself too much, and then they both, like, can't really agree on stuff. And then that kind of fixes itself after they decide to get married, and they confuse whenever they want. And I really like this because it really shows how mature Ruby can be as well, because she leaves to work on her own emotions. Like, she's able to process them in her own time by becoming a cowboy. I love cowboys. Connie takes Garnet's advice to be wait until after the training to talk to her parents and that kid she fucking KOs. Whereas Steven is just reminded of all of the people he couldn't help, which probably comes from places in his life where people get hurt right in front of him and he can't do anything to help. So now he just feels like he has to help everyone and leaves himself out, which is an issue he only tackles in Steven Universe Future. Anyway, Connie reminds him that it's okay to think about bad things and deal with them by asking for help, but without realizing it, Steven shuts himself off too, for him to process his trauma, and then it just builds up, and he goes fucking berserk. That being said, Here Comes a Thought is a great song to listen to watch, and to learn from, especially if you're an art and English nerd like me, and you're overanalyzing everything. I 100% want to make more videos on Steven Universe because I feel like I can get a lot of things to say about it. I have been analysing the show for like 5 or 6 years, so I certainly hope so. But that's it for this video. Bye!